What's up, my family? Listen, first-time listener, or you've been here the whole damn time. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, giddy up, let's go, no notes.
That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored! They did it!
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah!
What the f*** are you talking about?
All right, welcome in, everybody. Week 11 edition of Real Talk Fantasy, exclusively here on a2dradio.com, broadcasting from the Real Talk studios. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. Download us wherever you get your podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, iTunes. Mike Everly, Jesse King. Of course, I'm Rob Brinkman. We have a big show tonight, Week 11, fantasy, final stretch run. A lot of fantasy football trade deadlines are this week. We got a mega showdown on Monday Night Football between the Eagles and the Chiefs, a Super Bowl rematch. Give you a preview of that from a fantasy perspective. We have superstar upon superstar coming back from injury, Justin Jefferson, Devin A-Chain, Kyler Murray, some waiver wire guys we can sort of talk about. Waivers a little pretty thin, at least in all my leagues. So we got you each and every week. We are brought to you by Baguio's Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio, 10% off your in-store purchase. Baguio's Breads in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, now open from 9 to 3 on Sundays to better service your football food needs for the Eagles, college football, whatever it may be. Go check them out. Baguio's Breads, 10% off. Mention A2D Radio. Got to be in store, though. We're just going to dive right into it tonight. We got a lot to cover. We are going to start with the mega showdown on Monday Night Football next week. Super Bowl rematch, Eagles-Chiefs. Over-under sits at 45.5. The Chiefs are at home, favored by 2.5. Our poll question of the night obviously has to do with fantasy. Chiefs versus Eagles will be a shootout. I'm not buying it, fellas. I like the under in this game. I'll release a same-game parlay that I like in a few minutes here. But I like the under in this game. I'm starting my stars. I'm looking for excuses not to start guys like Rashee Rice and Isaiah Pacheco. I get it. There's some bye weeks. You may have to do that. And I do like having primetime game guys on the back end so you can kind of erase that deficit while you're watching the game live. I think it's fun. But, I'm starting my quarterbacks. I'm starting DeAndre Swift. Obviously, Travis Kelce's a start. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are starts. But past that, I'm not getting cute. I don't see this game being like the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I'm not getting cute with fantasy. I think my main reasoning for that is both teams are coming off a bye. Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid on the Chiefs side, very, very good after byes. We saw it here in Philadelphia with Andy Reid for 20-plus years. Nick Sirianni and this coaching staff had the extra week to prepare for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm not getting cute. I like the under. I don't think this game is going to be a shootout. So just beware of starting these fringe guys in this game. We'll get into some other guys you can start over those fringe guys later on in the show. Mike, you're the outsider here, the Dallas Cowboys fan. My condolences for a couple weeks ago. We even took the week off last week so you could mentally recover. Give you a little safe space. We sent you to New Orleans. Get some scouting done at the Florida LSU game for the Dallas Cowboys. Typical mid-20s draft pick. But is the Eagles and Chiefs on Monday? Is that going to be a shootout, Mike?
I think it is going to be a shootout. You got two of the higher scoring teams in the league, and Eagles made Sam Howell look like a world beater. What is Patrick Mahomes going to do? Now, granted, I do like Sam Howell's receiving core a little better than Patrick's, but Patrick has Travis Kelce there. I see this game being somewhere like 30-27, 28-27. Basically, I see it getting over 50 points. On top of that, the Eagles' back end is susceptible. Bradbury, he's been getting burned a little bit. Slay's probably their best corner. They're going to probably have to lock him on Travis, would be my opinion. Put him on Travis and then just let the rest of the team try and deal with the other guys because they're just other guys. Also, right up the middle, you don't want Travis just feasting on your linebackers because I think that's an area of weakness. Now, when it comes to the Eagles, the Chiefs have rebuilt that defense. They took those picks that they got from Tyreek Hill and they put them on their defense. Trent McDuffie, a few other guys. So I do like their defense. I just don't think they can handle A.J. Brown. He's a legitimate number one, top 5 receiver in this league. Single coverage, double coverage. They're going to have to slide coverage over to him, which should allow Smitty to feast. It sucks about Dallas Goedert because I think this is the game where he would have just blown up. Going underneath is where I think the Chiefs are susceptible. They're good on the outside, but in the inside, similar to the Eagles, they do have some vulnerabilities. It's just going to come down to those trenches. Can they block for the quarterback?
Jesse, this game going to be a shootout?
I really don't think so. You might look down at the final score and see it, somewhere creeping towards the 50s, just because, it's 2023. In today's NFL, a score in the mid-20s, is common, right? For a team to score in the mid-20s. It's darn near impossible to shut teams out nowadays, just the way offenses are set up and with the passing environment that we're in. But when you look at these teams, yes, they have, playoff aspirations, Super Bowl aspirations, but defense wins championships. And both of these teams are displaying very good defenses, right? The Chiefs have been great, period, in terms of, points per game. They're top 5 in the league, run defense, pass defense, pressures, especially ever since Chris Jones got back. The Chiefs rank, top 5 in all defensive categories. And the Eagles are nothing to scoff at. Yes, they have had some breakdowns and they have some questions in the secondary, but they're starting to address those questions and they are trying to, they're trying to, hold teams to shorter passes and making teams matriculate the ball down the field as opposed to trying to beat them over the top. The Chiefs don't have anyone that can beat them over the top. Right. All they have is our guys that, can run across the middle, run the short possession routes that Mahomes has been forced to attack, the last 2 years or so, ever since the league has adjusted. So I think this is going to be a slower game. I think, both teams are going to have to march down the field. There's not going to be a whole bunch of big plays. Right. So I think that leads to a lower scoring game. No, I don't think this is going to be some, 10-17 rock fight. But I don't expect, if you watch this game, I don't expect you to feel like, wow, like I just watched a crazy shootout. Yes, you watch a good game. Yeah, there might be some turnovers. But in terms of a high flying, high scoring, 60s plus scoring outing, I don't believe that that's what we're going to get.
38-35 in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, I don't think we're getting anywhere close to that. I mean, I think both defenses, the Eagles defense is going to fight like hell to make sure Travis Kelce doesn't beat them. And Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defensive staff are going to try like hell to make sure that A.J. Brown doesn't beat them. That leaves the supporting cast of each team. I do think the Eagles supporting cast is a little bit better from a weapon standpoint, even without Dallas Goedert, as opposed to the Chiefs. I think this is a big Devontae Smith game. I have Devontae Smith in a same game parlay I cooked up. If you're playing daily, I like Devontae Smith a lot in this game. I think, Mike just talked about, I totally agree with him. I think this would have been a perfect Dallas Goedert game. Unfortunately, he broke his arm. I wish Yahoo and ESPN would, should I say the Eagles, would put him on IR so I could put him in the IR slot and pick up another guy. But that's besides the point. I think Devontae Smith is going to really flourish in those underneath routes that Dallas Goedert would have been getting in this game. I think that Devontae Smith was very overshadowed by A.J. Brown in the first half. Obviously, A.J. Brown already has 1,000 yards receiving and catches a touchdown almost every week, if not every week. I think Devontae Smith is a guy who steps up in Dallas Goedert's offense and kind of takes back some of that limelight in this Eagles pass-catching core down the stretch here. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Devontae Smith is on a number of championship teams when we get to the fantasy playoffs. I love Devontae Smith. I have him He is 14-1 to score the first touchdown. I really like that bet. I like a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. That's basically stealing money with the tush push. If they get anywhere close, they're just going to do the brotherly shove and get in there. I do like the under 45.5 in the game. And I expect a very close contested game. So why not take the dog, which is the Eagles? I will take the 2.5. That's my same game parlay. Pays out 80-1, folks. So hopefully that can hit. But I love Devontae Smith in this game. I love him underneath. I love him over the top. I think he's the best player in this game outside of Travis Kelce and A.J. Brown. I think that's going to pay dividends for the Eagles doing well in this game. As far as, Jesse, Chiefs defense is really good. The Eagles have to establish a running game, but I don't know if this is going to be I don't know how good of a spot this is for DeAndre Swift.
I don't think it's a great spot for Swift, period. Especially, obviously from a fantasy standpoint. He started off the season, the very first game, he didn't do anything, right? But after that, he was hot for, 3-4 games, leading the league in rushing, or at least rivaling McCaffrey for it. I don't really know. You have to start your studs, right? You're starting A.J. Brown. You're starting Devonta. I don't think you can start any tight end on the Eagles this week. I have Swift in leagues. I'm starting him. Would you be starting Swift or like a Jerome Ford type?
Well, we'll get. No,
yeah,
Jerome Ford
later. But there are some tough decisions. I don't know if I'm just biased because one, I'm an Eagles fan. Two, because I remember the weeks earlier this year that Swift, single-handedly won for me. I don't know if I'm just remembering that, but I have moved him out of my, locked in everyday RB2 position, but I have not been able to move him out of, the flex spot. I still have him in that flex, especially since he does catch the ball a little bit.
Mike, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, thoughts on the potential running back?
I'd probably sit them. I don't like either of their matchups. The Eagles are pretty stout up front, just like the Chiefs. The Chiefs are stout up front, led by Chris Jones and Karlaftis. Like that run defense is pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the Eagles, but I just don't see this as a game where they would flourish, especially when just as you mentioned, you get down to the goal line. They're going to do the tush push, and it's going to be Jalen Hurts getting the touchdown, not Swift. But I will say I do think, and these are, I guess, for the female listeners, we have Taylor Swift going to be in the house meeting Mama Kelce. So I 100% think Patrick is going to try and get Travis a touchdown in this game. So if you can put him to the anytime touchdown, I probably would.
I don't know why that's only the female listeners, Mike. I'm a Swiftie.
Yeah, I'm a Swiftie too.
All right, well, you guys on that boat together because I'm not.
All right. Well,
how can you not be?
That's not my thing.
She's a global superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for people like you, then I guess there's the Manning cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over under 20.5 times Taylor Swift will be shown at the game. I'm assuming she's going to be at the game. I have no idea what Taylor Swift. She's going to be there.
Yeah, they confirmed it. She's going to be sitting with Mama Kelsey. I guess it's their first meeting or something. I don't know.
Now Taylor Swift, before she got her new boy toy and Travis Kelce, was a publicized Eagles fan. I wonder if she's going to be repping. Maybe she can do the half Jason, half Travis.
If she's a real one, she's coming 100%, baby.
She ain't going 100%.
She's wearing red.
We all read TMZ and the tabloids and are on Twitter. She engulfs herself in her boy toys, so she ain't going full-fledged Eagles.
Yeah, but if you really want to get the people talking, if she rolls up in that outfit that Kelsey wore at the parade, that would be something. The Mummers outfit. If she showed up in that would get the people talking.
All right, Jesse, you segueing into some injuries. You threw out the proposition of DeAndre Swift or Jerome Ford. I am fading Jerome Ford this week. Deshaun Watson going to miss the rest of the season with shoulder surgery. That doesn't do anything for Jerome Ford. So, I get it. I agree with the assessment of both of you on these running backs, but I'm still not getting crazy with DeAndre Swift. Jesse, I think you put it really well when you said maybe Swift's not an RB1 or an RB2, but especially if you're in a 12-team league or a really competitive 10-team league, I can't envision a scenario where you don't have DeAndre Swift in at least your flex position. And Pacheco, I don't know. I'd have a hard time playing Pacheco this week. I don't have any shares of Pacheco, so I don't have to make that decision, but I might go with a guy like Jerome Ford over an Isaiah Pacheco, even with the PJ Walker starting for the Cleveland Browns.
Apparently, it's going to be Dorian Thompson. He's going to get the nod. Not
okay, they're not going. There you go. That's the rookie from UCLA.
Definitely going DTR. We saw him once already this season where he got absolutely murdered against the Ravens. Who knows? He's a rookie. You got to give rookies a clean slate. That was his first action. Who knows? If the lights were too bright or whatnot. But now he's had a few more weeks of NFL prep, and hopefully he's ready to step in there and at least give a good showing, because the Browns are a good team.
They are a good team.
A really, really good team around the quarterback position. And they have found ways to win despite the quarterback position. Let's hope that they can continue to find ways to win, for the Cleveland Browns faithful, what they call themselves, the dog pound.
Dog pound.
The dog pound. And, and also for all of the Myles Garrett fans out there, the man is absolutely on a mission. He should be winning Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. But you kind of need to, help your team win, right? They kind of need to make the playoffs for him to have a real case for that Defensive Player of the Year award. So, and same with the head coach. I think he needs to be in consideration for Coach of the Year if they find a way to, keep the ship moving and make it into the playoffs, especially in that tough division.
Can we just give a little flowers to the Steelers, getting outgained in every single game this year, and somehow are 6-3, a half game back like that? Mike Tomlin is arguably the top three.
Tomlin,
it's impossible.
Tomlin. Yeah, you see
what they're doing is impossible.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. He does it every year. He's never had a losing season.
He ain't gonna have one this year.
You hear he had a closed door meeting with Matt Canada, and he made Matt Canada move down to the sidelines. So either he is coaching from the sidelines, or he is on the sidelines now. Just watching the game. I kind of have a feeling that after they had that closed door conversation, Tomlin handed Canada, a little juicy juice box, put the straw in for him, told him open your hands, gave him a handful of goldfish, and sent him on his way.
It did. After that closed door meeting, it was announced that Jaylen Warren will be the RB1 in Pittsburgh over Najee Harris. Jaylen Warren, very explosive, very, very different type of player than Najee Harris. I like the move. I mean, if you have Jaylen Warren, kudos to you. I think it's going to be tough for Jaylen Warren to get touchdowns, because I think that Najee Harris is a really good power back. He's going to be a touchdown vulture. But if you're in a PPR league, Jaylen Warren must start. If you can get your hands on him ahead of this trade deadline, I would 1,000% do it. The guy he's really explosive and could really help a team like the Steelers, who just lacks explosive plays, mainly because Kenny Pickett is not good. Sorry, Jesse, but
you're fine. No, I will say that
he's not good.
Warren was given the starting nod more, in as a show, an active show, right? More so than it really translating onto the field. The split continued to be, roughly 50-50 between Warren and Najee Harris. I'm almost positive Najee Harris actually had the first 4 or 5 snaps in the game, even though he wasn't announced as the starter. Tomlin came out and said Warren had a great week of practice. They wanted to reward him for it, so they made him the starter. So, but I will just say, temper your expectations in terms of touches. Now, Warren is explosive, doesn't need all the touches in the world, in order to get his fantasy points. But this could definitely hurt a plotter, like Najee Harris, who the best thing about him was his touches, right? He was getting 25, almost 30 touches a week, the past couple of years. Anyone can put up fantasy numbers with that kind of work.
Potentially returning from injury, the first pick in many fantasy drafts last August, Justin Jefferson. He is questionable. He was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice. Really want to look at this Friday injury report. If he's a full go on Friday, you can pretty much expect him to be playing on Sunday. But Mike, I know you've had your eye on Justin Jefferson for a while now on this return. I know you're sitting pretty in a bunch of your leagues. I know you made some moves for Justin Jefferson. Thoughts on Justin Jefferson coming back from injury?
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, I've been able to pick up a couple shares of Justin Jefferson. My guillotine league, the guy who had held him all year, he ended up losing, and I was able to pick him up in that league, and then also just made a trade for him. I personally will not be starting Justin Jefferson, but in those leagues, I don't have to, not right away. A couple things to keep in mind: Justin Jefferson's bye is 2 weeks from now. I wonder if they're going to try and ramp him up. So give him a smaller workload this week, give him a little bit more, and then after the bye, he'll be full go, no restrictions. It's another thing to note that the Vikings are 6-4. They are in that last wild card spot, so they are still alive, and they're still fighting. And Josh Dobbs has them winning. I think they're on a 5-game win streak at the moment. So maybe they have a game or two that they could potentially drop and give Jefferson an extra week. I just have a hard time with the soft tissue injury, believing in him the first week. But once they say he's full go, no restrictions, he's an absolute must-start, move him back up. It really doesn't matter to me who the quarterback is that's throwing him the ball. He'll still get his 10 targets a game.
Not the greatest matchup for Justin Jefferson this week if he is going to play.
What y'all talking about, bro? This is JJ, man. This is Mr. Gritty.
I mean, if I traded for him, which I didn't do, I wouldn't be. I would trade for Justin Jefferson to start.
Yeah, man. Like, get out of here, dude. This is the Black Cooper Cup, bro. Like, he is a must start on any team, any week. I don't care if he's only got one leg. If he's out there, he's starting. No question.
I can't afford that in my guillotine league, though. If I go down 1 week, I get cut.
Wide receiver 1. Mm-hmm. Put him right back in there. Stop fronting.
Mike, I know you like Devin A-Chain as well. You were able to make some moves for him this week. His return window is open. He was also limited, like Justin Jefferson, in Wednesday's practice. Again, keep an eye on that Friday practice status. That's a very, very, very key indicator on what's going to happen as far as actives and inactives on Sunday afternoon. But Devin A-Chain, I know you picked him up in leagues too.
Yeah, I'm in a little bit of a pickle when it comes to A-Chain. This year I have a ton of shares of Alvin Kamara, and this week he's on a bye. So I only really have 3 running backs in most of my leagues. And like I said, I was able to pick up A-Chain. So I'm probably going to have to start him. If he doesn't go, I'll try and pick up somebody off waivers. But I believe it's the Colts, the Saints, and there's a few 1 or 2 other teams that are on a bye. I'm in a tough spot. So this week, the 2 leagues that I have A-Chain in, I might just have to roll the dice, hope he plays. And if he does play, hope he gets me some points. But yeah, I'm probably in a tough spot with the running back situation this week. But definitely A-Chain, once he's back, just like Jefferson, and he's got no restrictions, he's a full go. He's a starter, moves right back up into RB1, RB2 for me.
Yeah, it's just tough to trust because of those touches. You really want to see, the high touch counts along with the big production. But the production was so juicy. I mean, I forget the exact stats. You guys can go look at the numbers yourselves. But there was a stat that said something like, since like week 2 or week 3 to until right now, Achane has more like fantasy points than like Saquon Barkley, than Bijan, and that's with him missing, the last 3-4 weeks. Right, exactly. And he still has more fantasy points than some of these guys that were drafted, late first round, early second round. So it's hard to bench that kind of production. This is one where you really just need to, one, follow your gut. I always say go with your heart because it's your team. You're the one that's going to have to live with it. Two, remember he was doing this. He was producing the way he was, putting up 30, 40-point games on very limited touches. Only once it looks like on his game log did he have anywhere near 20 or more touches. Every other week it was 8 carries, 11 carries. He is targeted in the receiving game, so that is something definitely to keep in mind. I don't know if he's a prolific pass catcher. He seems to only really be catching 1 or 2 balls, but he's getting about 4 or 5 targets, it seems, before he got injured and left. Miami's the team that definitely likes to do running back by committee, but Achane is certainly a guy that can take one to the house on any given play. I'm going to have to lean with Mike. Fortunately, I don't have to make the decision of putting him in over a lot of other top RBs. The few leagues that I have him in, he's going in. I don't have anyone else. But I mean, are you starting Achane over guys like Saquon Barkley, like Bijan Robinson, like Kenneth Walker? What about Breece Hall? Like, how high do you have him?
I mean, for me, he's an absolute start over Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley's offense is putting up 26 points or 26 yards a game or something before, the team's already blown out. I can't trust Saquon at all. And he was on my do not draft list, so thankfully I don't have him. But I'm absolutely putting him above Barkley, probably above Breece Hall, maybe on par with Ken Walker. I think highly of Ken Walker. He's done pretty well in that Seattle offense, especially as it seems that Geno has struggled a little bit. Ken Walker's picked up the slack up there, but Achane is definitely in the conversation as one of the upper echelon backs, despite the lack of touches. I mean, he's a home run threat every single time he gets the ball, whether it's a run or a pass. So yeah, I put him up there.
I mean, we opened the show talking about the mega showdown on Monday Night Football. I like Achane over both DeAndre Swift and Pacheco, at least this week. Guys like Achane, and the way we all kind of play fantasy is we're stacking our receivers and pass catchers, and we're trying to figure out at running back. So, like, if you have Achane and you were feasting with him before he got injured, like, you probably, if you play like us and took our advice on how to build your fantasy football team, you're not going to have many running backs that could potentially lead week 11 in running back fantasy points, which Devin Achane can do. He's explosive, and that zone run, he seems to be really a nice fit for that McDaniel zone running scheme that they have there. I think that the only drawback with Devin Achane is that he's going to have to break one to get in the end zone, which he's fully capable of doing because Mostert's been racking up those rushing touchdowns the whole season, and he's earned his spot there in that backfield to at least get some of that backfield share in Miami. Last one before we hear from one of our great sponsors at Royal Billiards. Kyler Murray made his season debut. Obviously, we love dual threats quarterbacks here on the pod. Kyler Murray, certainly that. He looked fast. He looked healthy. The Cardinals won the football game over the Atlanta Falcons last week. If Kyler, I mean, Mike, I know we were talking pre-show about Kyler Murray being on the free agent list in a couple of your leagues. If he's out there and you can grab Kyler Murray, I mean, he's in the conversation for starting, even if your team is in a good position. I mean, I just love dual threat quarterbacks. Kyler Murray's electric. Kyler Murray has all the physical tools to be a franchise quarterback in this league and an absolute stud of a fantasy player. As long as those 6 inches between his ears are okay and he's not worried about Call of Duty and he's engaged in watching film, Kyler Murray, I would have confidence in picking up, and I would have confidence starting him this week. They play They play Houston this week. That should be a very interesting quarterback showdown between C.J. Stroud and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. It was only a 10-team league. I doubt that he's available in anything more than a 10-team league, but he does start to become automatic start. The only thing is I do have Dak, and as you guys have seen, Dak's on a tear as of late, so I'm probably not going to sit him down, especially because he's playing the hapless Panthers. But Kyler is definitely a guy that I would consider starting. I mean, he is that dual threat. He's going to get you the running yards, passing yards. He's got weapons there, Trey McBride and Hollywood Brown, even though Brown didn't have a great game last week, Trey McBride did. So I definitely think Kyler's startable, and if he is available, he's a must pick up.
You can't say Dak's on a tear when he's beating up on St. Mary's School of the you fill in the blank. Man.
Well, I mean, look, we got to give Mike, look, if you have Dak Prescott on your fantasy team, like, you're probably doing very well. I can't take that away from him. He's putting up the stats, but
Dak's doing a great job beating up on little girls and boys. He's doing a very good job of that. Congratulations, Dak. You get a participation trophy.
When push comes to shove, Dak is going to do what he did against the Eagles. He's going to step out of bounds on 2-point conversions. He's going to take sacks. He's going to force his team to take delay of game penalties because he's just not a big-time player.
He's definitely going to take sacks, and he's definitely going to lose again.
Okay, whatever. You got it. Yeah, sure. We'll see.
Proven fact. All right, let's take a quick break. Hear from one of our great sponsors at Royal Billiards. We'll flex options and some other trade talks. And what else we got? We got some intriguing questions, comments, and concerns regarding fantasy from both myself and Jesse King. So here we go. A word from our sponsor at Royal Billiards.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
There they are, Royal Billiards, located in Colmar, Pennsylvania, 515 Bethlehem Pike. RoyalBilliards.com. Turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary game room, stocked with the very best in pool tables, accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, and bar stools. Again, turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Don't forget, they have hot tubs as well. Get into some. I had a question for you guys. I mean, you guys are going to get it because we're nerds. But who leads the league in passing yards?
Samuel Howell.
Sam Howell leads the league in passing yards. I was able to make a trade this week for Sam Howell. I traded my least favorite player maybe ever after this season, Kyle Pitts and Jahan Dotson, basically for Sam Howell. KJ Osborne was a throw-in. I have Justin Fields and Baker Mayfield on that team. Baker Mayfield's going to get destroyed this week by the San Francisco 49ers. They have that Ohio State tandem at pass rush with Chase Young now and Nick Bosa. If you remember, Baker Mayfield went in there to Columbus while he was on Oklahoma and won the football game, and he took the Oklahoma flag and he planted it at midfield in Columbus on the Buckeye Stadium. I think Chase Young and Nick Bosa, who were both on that team, are going to remember that. So I had to make a move. So I traded for the league leader in passing yards, Sam Howell. I had to do a double take when I looked up that stat. But, I mean, they're losing a lot. Their receivers aren't tragic. Brian Robinson's been pretty good out of the backfield. So I'm rolling with Sam Howell. That team's 3-7. Basically got to win out. Hopefully my luck can turn around. I only have 3 less points than the number 2 seed in that league. So I am hitching my wagon to Sam Howell.
And that's definitely something to consider moving forward, Rob. When you're looking at bets, right, for season-long projections for passing yards and for league leading in passing yards, right? no one would have guessed Sam Howell if you hadn't been following 2023 football, right? But the one thing that Sam Howell has that Patrick Mahomes doesn't, right? That Jalen Hurts, right? At certain times doesn't have, Joe Burrow, right? Safeties aren't playing deep on Sam Howell. They're not afraid of him. They're not, forcing him. Like, we'll give you, 5 yards a pass, but, we are going to, we're not going to let you beat us over the top. Mahomes, they're not going to let beat over the top. Joe Burrow, they're starting to try to not let beat over the top, right? Sam Howell, might be that perfect storm of has the receiving weapons, far from tragic, right? You said they weren't tragic. They're far from tragic. Great receiving weapons, but not a threatening team, right? You're not scared of them. You don't have to play safeties back.
I also think he's been in a lot of dogfights. He's had to throw the ball in the fourth quarter, trying to bring his team back. So, he's been able to put those points up, and, he's doing a good job. As Jesse said, he does have the weapons with Dotson and McLaurin and Logan Thomas, Gibson when he's not fumbling the ball away. But Sam Howell's a great option. I know I have 2 shares in him. I have him in my Dynasty League. I drafted him, and then I also picked him up this year in another league. And he's an absolute start. He's been producing, and as long as he's producing, I don't think it's his fault that they're 3-7. I put that on their head coach. I don't know how Ron Rivera still has a job, and I'd be surprised if he had one at the end of this season. They need to get somebody in there offensive minded, or just elevate Eric Bieniemy, because that team does have talent. They have talent on both sides of the ball. It just doesn't seem to have been realized yet.
He's got a job because Dan Snyder's ridiculous, and he was the problem there. They had to get rid of him. They weren't going to fire anyone before Snyder's out. But now that he's out, they're going to definitely start making some cuts. You cannot tell me they brought Eric Bieniemy in just simply to be an offensive coordinator and keep his mouth shut. I think he's the heir apparent there, especially if Rivera can't figure it, out how to win. But I haven't made too many season-long bets, but I did actually bet Sam Howell most interceptions. Yesterday, I actually bet it. I found it at 10-1, plus 1,000 on DraftKings. And I just think he's a perfect storm. They've said publicly, they've shown it in games, they're going to air the ball out. There's no one there in Washington behind him. Jacoby Brissett is not going to, start over Sam Howell as long as Sam Howell is healthy. So, you would expect him to start the rest of the season. He has 9 interceptions, and he is 2 back on the lead of Josh Allen. Josh Allen has 11 interceptions. I just thought that price, it's a good bet.
Yeah, see, I think you just gave your money away. The league leader in interceptions, Josh Allen, he's been that since 2018, every single year, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, and he's leading again in 23. Josh Allen has not going to relinquish that title. He seems dead set on continuing to hold that title. So I don't know how good a bet that was.
I bet. It was a good bet. I bet Josh Allen too. It was a hedge.
Okay.
But no, I actually hit last year on most interceptions in the league, and it was not Josh Allen.
Josh Allen did.
Mike, would you like to guess who it was?
You're going to say Dak.
Who won me my $1,000?
It wasn't Josh Allen.
Who won me my $1,000 last year? Would you like to guess, Mike? I'll give you 3 guesses.
I know.
The first 2 don't count.
I'm telling you, it was Josh Allen. Josh Allen had the most interceptions.
I know.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go with Rob. Rob, what do you think led the 2022 season?
He missed 6 games and still led the league in interceptions somehow. It was Dak Prescott, the elite
ding. Rob, that was going to be the daily double. How many games did it take Dak to lead the league in interceptions in 2022?
What did they play? 17 carries, 1. So was that 11, 12 games?
12 games. You better shut your mouth, bro.
Could you imagine
12
paying
games,
someone? Oh, man.
15 interceptions. I rest my case.
General football question. Is CJ Stroud the MVP of the league?
No. He's the offensive player or offensive rookie of the year. He's not the MVP of the league. Right now,
Maybe
I
not
think
yet, but he's charging hard. That was impressive last week against the Cincinnati Bengals.
he is. I think he's got to win the division. He's got to get in the playoffs. Even still, I mean, I think it's going to come down to some. It's either going to be Mahomes, Hurts. Throw Dak in there with his numbers. He's on the rise. But I think it's going to be somewhere between Mahomes and Hurts ultimately. But CJ is showing something. He's definitely the franchise quarterback. Good for the Texans. They look like they have a bright future. They still have a first-round pick next year, even though they traded one of them. They still have one more. So they look like a team on the rise.
Yeah, I don't know if this makes sense, but CJ Stroud is way closer to being the real life or a real life MVP than he is being the voted on AP voted on MVP, right? There's no way they're going to give CJ Stroud the MVP. If he continues the season that he's on, even if they make the playoffs, he's going to be offensive rookie of the year. They're not going to give him MVP of the league, even though he very well is playing like that. And you can argue, would the Texans be where they are without him playing this way? You could easily argue that. I will say, Rob, I am looking at the stats right now. CJ Stroud has fewer interceptions in 2023 than Dak Prescott.
Just a little NFL history for you guys. There's only one time, and I'll see if you guys know the answer. There's only one time that the NFL Rookie of the Year was also the NFL MVP.
I knew this.
Barry Sanders.
No.
Right position, wrong player.
Was it like Willie Stargell or something?
The one and only Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Back when they gave the MVP award to non-quarterbacks. Wild.
Yeah.
I got a few flex, or not flex. I got a few toss-ups here. Help me out with my teams. If you have any toss-ups, let us know in the comments. We'll get to as many as we can before the games kick off Sunday at 1. Us here in Philadelphia will be chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool all day Sunday, watching games, getting ready for our mega showdown with the Chiefs on Monday night. I'm going to start the tight end position. I have Trey McBride or Kyle Pitts. This is really just a time filler. I already know what I'm doing. But, Mike, what should I do?
Trey McBride. I wouldn't even have Kyle Pitts on my roster anymore. In that trade I just acquired A-Chain and Jefferson, Pitts was a throw-in, and I immediately dropped him. Like, he's just not rosterable to me. So
I almost dropped him, but I know once I drop him, he's going to explode. So I kept him. Jesse, do you concur?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even considered dropping him. It's tight end. Who else are you going to pick up? Who are you going to pick up?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I dropped him. I hate him so much.
And he was a much later pick this year than he was in years past. So yes, okay, that makes him easier to drop, right? Because you're only cutting a 7th round pick or whatnot. But it means I don't have to drop him. Like, he's not my whole team. I drafted my whole team before I got Kyle Pitts this year. So there's leagues where I have Sam Laporta. I'm starting Laporta over him. Ferguson. I'm starting Ferguson over him, but I haven't cut Kyle Pitts yet. I haven't had to. There's just been, other dead weight to cut.
I got another one. Jesse, this is actually against you. My team's terrible, so this is going to be a laughable comparison. Battle of the Moors. We have Elijah Moore or Rondell Moore.
I think you need more players to choose from, Rob.
It's shy. I got who I got. I forget who's on buy in that league. It's the auction league. It's my auction league.
Rondell Moore's been getting work. I mean, I hate to help you, especially against me.
Rondell Moore is slated in there right now, and I do like Rondell Moore a lot more. Him and Kyler Murray seem to have a good rapport, and I think we kind of answered this question earlier in the show when we talked about whatever his name is, Dorian Thompson-Reed, starting for the Cleveland Browns. So I will go with I think I got to go with the Rondell Moore.
Yeah, you know what? The more you talk about it, Rob, I think you should probably start the Browns for all your Browns.
All my Browns, Jerome Ford, Elijah Moore.
Yeah. At least for one more week. Then next week we'll revisit it, and call something better.
Dude, you have a bye week this week against me.
I'll take it, man. Lord knows I need it. But no, in all honesty, Rondale Moore, someone maybe we should probably spoken about in waiver wire section, maybe or some of the flex consideration. Deeper leagues, Rondale Moore has been getting to work recently, and so it's not just a Kyler Murray thing. He has been getting to work. He was getting a little bit of work with Clayton Tune. He's been getting work when Josh Dobbs was there. Towards the end of Josh Dobbs' tenure there. And I do believe he will continue to get work only in PPR leagues, right? He's a short area target. That's how they're using him. Short area target, trying to get him out in space. Definitely a guy that can run after the catch, might be able to break one long, but you're not going to get a whole bunch of touchdowns from him. So you're definitely looking at him in full PPR leagues where, 5 for 50 is a startable week.
Last one is a quarterback. I really need to make a good decision here. Locked in a playoff race. I'm the 5 seed. I'm playing the 4 seed. Quarterback toss-up. Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson against the Cincinnati Bengals on Thursday Night Football.
I think I got to go Kyler there. I think Hendrickson's going to play for the Bengals, and Lamar's been putting up decent numbers, but I think Kyler this week.
He's been okay.
Yeah,
I took him like 5th, 6th round because I thought he would flourish with the new system. I thought they would throw the ball more, and obviously he's electric running, but I mean, he's been okay. He hasn't been anything special.
Yeah, like I said, I think Kyler comes in and he has a good game, and I definitely think he's the choice over Lamar Jackson. Like, he's just been okay, or he's been decent. So if you need to win this game, I'd go Kyler. I'd roll the dice.
Yeah, Lamar's played like an MVP on the field, but in terms of fantasy, he hasn't been asked to win games for them a whole bunch. He's definitely been boom or bust, right? He's either putting 30 points up or 15 points, and he hasn't been asked to run. They don't need to. They're running the ball with the running backs and with their traditional style runs. So I expect to see Lamar run a lot more later on in the season. When you get to these more competitive games against playoff competition, and certainly in the playoffs, when everyone's quote unquote forgets about him, right, or turns their back on him, but they haven't needed him to run, so he hasn't been putting up those huge, fantasy weeks, consistent weeks. But Kyler Murray, he's going to need to run. Number one, they're going to be behind. They're going to be throwing the ball, and he's going to be running. Number two, the offensive line's not great. So he's going to have to, move and run, to stay alive back there. Definitely Kyler Murray between those two.
Lamar Jackson's last 3 games, week 8 against Arizona, 13 fantasy points. Week 9 against the Seattle Seahawks, 11 fantasy points. Last week against the Cleveland Browns, 15 fantasy points. Not really bringing home the bacon, Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's got some 30s up there, but I mean, the last 3, recency bias, not great. So I think I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to put Kyler Murray in there. So how can I help you fellas with your team? And I'm sure whatever scenarios you throw out, somebody somewhere out there listening will also have those questions as well.
So I have one in my guillotine league. I was able to grab Travis Kelce this week. The guy who got eliminated had to, they drop him. So now my tight end, essentially Jake Ferguson, I'm putting him down to the flex. It's between him and Jordan Addison. So with Justin Jefferson potentially coming back, what would you guys do? Who would you take in the flex, Ferguson or Addison?
I would go Ferguson. The Vikings have won 5 in a row, and it's been a nice little run for Josh Dobbs, but they're going out to Denver in prime time. Denver's defense has been forcing turnovers and playing well, climbing back into that playoff consideration in that vaunted AFC. I don't know. It might be time for an egg for the Vikings. It might be time for them to drop one. And if Justin Jefferson is coming back, I don't know if Joshua Dobbs is good enough, as good as he's been, to maintain more than one pass catching option. So I would go Ferguson in that scenario slightly.
Yeah, if JJ is back and out there on the field, I don't think it's even a question. I think you got to go Ferguson. And it's not like you're starting just any tight end. Ferguson, up until maybe last week, was the number 2 target, in the offense. And even last week, he ate too. All of them did. They played the Panthers. Great matchup for tight ends this season, going up against the Panthers. That, number 1. And then number 2, the Cowboys are just classic bullies. They just want to beat up on the middling and the bad teams in the league. And they really, they put their foot on the gas pedal when they play against those teams. If you don't believe me, just look at the past, 2 weeks. So I don't expect it to be any different this weekend against Carolina, even on the road. Yeah, for me, some of my big decisions really revolve around Cortland Sutton, who has been just a darling for a lot of my teams because he has been able to find the end zone. And I want to say, off the top of my head, roughly 5 straight games. So Cortland Sutton has been amazing. Again, I don't like to do wide receiver versus wide receiver because, that's really just a rankings debate, right? But what would you do? Would you start Cortland Sutton or would you start either DeAndre Swift, Cortland Sutton versus Deontay Foreman, right? Yeah, who has been getting the lion's share of the running backs carries for the Bears, and they go on the road to play the Lions this week? Or would you rather start Cortland Sutton over one of the running backs in the Steelers versus Browns?
I would go Cortland Sutton. Russell seems to be looking his way at the behest of Judy. I actually lost the game last week because I needed Judy to give me more than 5 points, and he got me, I think, like 4. But Sutton seems to be getting the most of the targets, most of the looks. I know Marvin Mims was running around signing fans stuff, and they were like, "Oh, you got to score touchdowns." He's like, "Yeah, Russell, don't look at me to throw the ball, or doesn't throw the ball to me, or something like that." So it's clear that Russell has a favorite target, and especially when it comes to Swift. Like I said, I just don't like that matchup this week. When it comes, and I believe Pittsburgh, at some point, I got to figure they're just going to load the box against Pittsburgh and try and stop Jaylen Warren because Kenny Pickett is not giving you anything. I believe Deontay Johnson's hurt this week, and Pickens is not happy down there. He wants out anyway.
Can't blame him for wanting out.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton, I'm always going to try and play my receiver over a running back unless it's a Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey type of running back. So I would go Sutton. I would go Sutton over Swift. I would go Sutton over Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris. I think you threw out a couple other ones in there that I forgot about, but Cortland Sutton, it's a very concentrated offense, like you like to say, Jesse, out there in Denver. Like Javonte Williams is going to run the ball. He's back from his knee injury. He's playing pretty good, and Cortland Sutton's going to be the pass catching guy for Russ. And if those two guys do good and Russ doesn't play like an idiot and he cooks, so to speak, Denver's going to be in good shape. If he doesn't, they're not. So their team success is tied to Cortland Sutton's performance. So I think that makes him a must start over all those running backs you mentioned.
The Broncos have been pretty decent this year. Compared to what they were last year and what we really expected. I know they're only 4-5, but more recently they've been, respectable, right?
Yeah, they beat the Chiefs. They caused some turnovers. They beat the Bills. They caused some turnovers. That 70-point embarrassing showing by that defense seems to be way in the rearview mirror. Javonte Williams and Cortland Sutton, they're fantasy relevant for sure. They're start. I'd be starting both of those guys this week. Javonte Williams is also catching the ball as well, coming back from that ACL. He looks like he could be a stretch run guy, like I said about Devontae Smith earlier in the show. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Javonte Williams was on a bunch of deep run fantasy teams as we get into the fantasy playoffs this year. All right, do we have a score, everyone, for the Mega Showdown Super Bowl rematch for Monday night? Our score predictions are brought to you by Hats.com. Use the promo code Philly for 15% off. Get your Brian Dawkins Hall of Fame fedora exclusively at Hats.com. Philly, 15% off. I'm going to go with the Eagles, 21-17. Under. Gives me room for my Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith touchdown. So, I'm going to go 21-17 Birds under. Tough game coming off. Both teams coming off a bye.
Jesse?
Yeah, 28-24 Birds.
This is probably more wishful thinking. 31-27 Chiefs, but I actually think that the Eagles are going to win this game.
A little revenge.
Tough beating Reed off the bye, but we owe him one.
We do owe him one. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Real Talk Fantasy. For Mike Everly, Jesse King, I'm Rob Brinkman. Good luck in Week 11, everyone. We'll see you back next week for Week 12.